Hi, I'm Dr. Sharmin Aktar. I'm a HCPC registered counseling psychologist. I'm also the clinical director of the Mind Remedy, and today I wanted to talk to you about the process of getting an emotional support animal letter. An emotional support animal is any animal that provides you with support when you are in a difficult or distressing scenario. An emotional support animal letter is then provided to you by professionals, healthcare professionals such as psychologists, in order to support you to ensure that you are allowed to take this animal with you to places where they may not typically be allowed. So, for example, this letter can then be given to airlines to enable you to take your dog with you on your flight. The process of getting an emotional support animal letter is based on the emotional support animal assessment. So once you have booked in, you will be offered an assessment with one of our psychologists in order to kind of assess your suitability to have this emotional support animal with you. And they will go through different aspects of your life, of your history, your mental health, your physical health, that sort of thing, in order to assess whether an emotional animal, support animal, is required in order for you to cope in certain scenarios. So you may have booked an assessment for an ESA, but you're not sure about what happens in that assessment. So typically, the professional would introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about the policies that they have in place. So, for example, safeguarding, risk, all of that good stuff to ensure that you fully understand before you go ahead with that assessment. You will then be informed about the length, duration of that assessment. So it can be 50 minutes long, it might be longer depending on the complexities of your history. And then they will also inform you how long it will take for you to receive that letter from them. Typically 2 weeks is average, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the caseload. But that's something that your psychologist can tell you about beforehand. So the other things that you might talk about in the assessment is your current mental health. So how has your mental health been recently? What are you struggling with? How are you coping with? And also your mental health history. So what has your mental health been like in the past? And how have you coped with that? And other things that might have supported you in place, any psychological or physical diagnoses that the psychologist should be informed about. So that's all really important information. And then there's also, they'll want to know about any traumas that you might have had in the past, anything that could impact you adversely. So all of that is really important information, whether you're on medication and so forth. And once they've done that, they will then discuss about your emotional support animal, how the animal is supporting you, what they've been doing in order to kind of support you through this, how your distress is managed through that animal. Apart from the clinical interview, there's also some psychometrics that are really important for you to complete in order to get an understanding of where your psychological health is. So, for example, they might offer you or require you to do the depression scale, the anxiety scale, traumas, PTSD, OCD. Depending on what you share with the psychologist, they will then tailor which psychometric tool to use. Alongside the psychometrics, there's also a risk assessment that is conducted, and that's to ensure that they have a good idea of where you are at mentally, whether there's any risk present. So again, assessing for risk, current and historical, any past suicide attempts, any sort of substance misuse, any sort of, and whether you're taking care of yourself adequately and taking your medication. All of that information is really helpful in conducting a thorough and concrete risk assessment in order to put a safety plan in place where necessary. So based on all of that information, the psychologist will go away, review all of that information alongside the psychometrics, and then write up a report for you to see whether, and then check for whether you qualify or do not qualify for that emotional support animal letter. If you are interested in seeking an ESA letter, please do get in touch with us on info@themindremedy.co.uk or contact us on the number on the website in order to inquire further about booking this service. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us or WhatsApp us, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.